Hello class, today we're going to be going over how to calculate your resting heart rate, your maximum heart rate, and your target heart rate. So we're going to start with your resting heart rate, and this means how many times your heart's going to beat per minute while it's at rest. So this is best done first thing in the morning, after a nap, sometime when you're well rested, because we want to know how hard is your heart working while you're not doing anything. So what we're first going to do is we're going to locate your pulse. Most people can feel it either along their neck or on their wrist, right under their thumb. So I'll give you a minute to go ahead and locate your pulse. And then once you find your pulse, we're going to want to have a timer with you. You could use your phone, a watch, as long as it's digital. Anything that'll count the seconds for you, so you don't have to sit there and count the seconds, because you're going to be busy counting your pulse and you don't want to do both. So like I said, cell phone will have this. Stopwatch works as well. Now that you have your timer and you found your pulse, what you're going to do is you're going to count your pulse for 6 seconds. Now once you get that number, you're going to add a 0 to it. So let's say I counted and I got 8 beats for those 6 seconds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a 0, and that's going to give me 80 beats per minute. I don't know if you saw what we did there, but it's kind of a little shortcut. Instead of actually counting our pulse for a whole minute, what we did is we just counted for 6 seconds and we times it by 10 to give us 60 seconds, which is a minute. So now that we have our resting heart rate, we want to find our maximum heart rate to give us a range. So you're going to need a calculator, and here we go. So our maximum heart rate is going to be your age subtracted from 220. Now there is a more, I want to say not appropriate, but there's a better way of doing this, a more accurate way, but for simplicity, we're going to use the 220 formula. So for an example, a 28-year-old would have a maximum heart rate of 220 minus 28, which would give them 192. So we have our resting heart rate and we have our maximum heart rate, but what's our target heart rate? So according to the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control, our target heart rate is for vigorous intensity physical activity. So a person's target heart rate should be 70 to 85% of his or her maximum heart rate. So once we do all these calculations, you'll have your own personal zone, heart rate zone, in which you're going to be able to tell where you're at along the line to get a good workout. You know, there's going to be a warm-up period. How do you really know when you've reached a good potential of working out? Is it just because you worked out for 30 minutes, or you'll see. So I'm going to use the Carbonian formula to help us get our target heart rate zone. Now this is the Carbonian formula. It looks overwhelming, but it's fairly simple. So we're going to take our maximum heart rate, which was the 220 minus our age, and we're going to subtract that from our resting heart rate. And that's going to give us a y. We'll say a y for right now. So y times 0.50, and then we're going to add our resting heart rate again. That's going to give us our low target heart rate. So as you can see from this little graph picture, we've got resting heart rate right here, and then it's going, here's our 50% that we just calculated, and that's going to be our warm-up period. And we're going to go according down the list. So times 0.60, 60, that's going to be our 60% of our maximum heart rate. 0.70, that's going to be your 70% of our maximum heart rate, and 85, that's going to be our 85%. And this is our mid target heart rate, the 70, and 85 is our high target heart rate. So here's an example. If the maximum heart rate was 192 on a person and their resting heart rate was 70, They're going to take those numbers, they're going to subtract it, and that's 122. Now they're going to plug in the 122 in all these little equations, and that's going to give them accordingly. 50 was 131, the 60 was 143, 70 is 155, and 85 is 174. This is for our little imaginary person. Your chart's going to be a little different because this is going to be more personal. So as you can see, your heart rate is increasing with the activity that you're doing. And when you're working out, you want to really be in between here, the 70 to 85%. And as I was saying, your target heart rate is a zone, and it's going to be between the 70 and 85%. And so as you're warming up, you want to be around your 50% number, and then you want to get moderate, and then you're going to get to vigorous. And then as you want to stop working out, you don't just stop. You're supposed to do a cool down period, so you get your heart rate lowered again. You don't just stop from a vigorous activity to nothing. And all these numbers will be according to your own personal chart. So next time you go to work out, you don't have to do all these calculations again. You'll have a general idea. Oh yeah, I remember my 50% was, what did this person have? 131. And then, okay, you're working out. Oh, wow, yeah, I'm at 174. Okay, now I'm at my potential. And then before you stop working out, you want to get back down to that 50% again. But it's like I said, those numbers are going to vary for every person. And that is how we find our resting heart rate, our maximum heart rate, and our target heart rate. So tomorrow before class, I'd like everyone to come in with their resting heart rate that they got from tomorrow morning before they came to school. And then we'll go ahead and calculate as a class our maximum and our target heart rate. Thank you.